Empire.
Welcome to Inside the Cap. I'm your host, Joel Corey. You can find me on Twitter at CoreyJoel. That's CorryJoel. You can also read my regular CBSSports.com column, Agent's Take on NFL salary cap and contract matters. This time around, we are going to dissect Lamar Jackson's new blockbuster deal, look at the numbers, put them in context, and assess how he did representing himself. Now, the deal was agreed to on April 27th, shortly before the NFL draft. Kind of overshadowed the first round because deal kind of comes out of nowhere because we didn't know what Lamar was going to do. At the time, the speculation was, well, Lamar play on his one-year franchise tender, $32.416 million. Will the team come out of the woodwork after the draft? They don't get a quarterback and make a run at him for an offer sheet. Well, the deal put that to best where he becomes the league's highest-paid player. Now, this has been one of the most anticipated contract situations in quite some time, and that's because Lamar Jackson's never had an agent. Didn't have an agent coming out for the draft process. Didn't have an agent when he was negotiating his rookie contract, and did this deal without an agent. There have been other players who've done deals without an agent that are pretty high profile, most including one of his teammates, Roquan Smith. We've had Laramie Tunsil become the first $20 million per year offensive lineman and $25 million per year offensive lineman without an agent. Bobby Wagner became the highest paid off-ball linebacker in 2019 without an agent. Richard Sherman, his negotiated deals without an agent, same for Russell Okung. But none of them have been a quarterback who's played at a very high level. And as you know, everything revolves around the quarterback in the NFL. The deal Jackson signed, 5 years, $260 million, averaging $52 million per year. There are $185 million of overall guarantees. $135 million is fully guaranteed at signing of the contract. It's got a no-trade clause. He's also got a clause which prevents the Ravens from putting a franchise or transition tag on him when the deal expires after the 2027 season. $72.5 million signing bonus in the deal is the largest signing bonus in NFL history. It eclipses Dak Prescott's $66 million signing bonus in the contract he signed right at the beginning of the 2021 league year. Now, out of the signing bonus, $52.5 million is payable within 10 days of the contract being approved by NFL Management Council. The other $20 million is payable in 18 equal installments over the course of the 2023 regular season. So that means in addition to his game check that he's going to get $1,111,111 each week of the regular season. Now, the Ravens used a double option bonus with this contract. That's a structure which is one of the more complex ones in the NFL. And an option bonus is basically an additional signing bonus that's paid in the second or third year of a contract to exercise a later years in the deal. And option bonuses are prorated on the cap just like signing bonus. Signing bonuses are prorated for the life of a contract up to a maximum of 5 years. So if you got a 4-year deal, signing bonus gets prorated 4 years. You got a 7-year deal, signing bonus only gets prorated the first 5. Option bonus gets prorated beginning in the year that the option is exercised. So with Jackson, he's got $72.5 million signing bonus. He's got a $7.25 million base salary this year. I mean, 7.5 base salary this year because he's making $80 million this year. 70.25 signing bonus, $7.5 million base salary this year. He's got $80 million for 2023. That's the most ever in first year of NFL contract. He's got the most cash through any junctures of the contract, no matter what year you're talking about. The cap number was $32.416 million. That was sitting on the cap for his franchise tag. Now, his cap number is $22.15 million, I should say. The signing bonus is getting prorated at $14.5 million, 2023 to 2027. I'm kind of jumping around here a little bit, but the Ravens are picking up $10.266 million of cap space this year. The first option bonus is $17.5 million, and that the option must be exercised no later than the 5th day of the 2024 league year, next March. Now, the way that it's written, Jackson's got a fully guaranteed $31.5 million 2024 base salary. That's going to reduce to $14.25 million when the option is exercised. The presumption is the option will be exercised for cap purposes. And by exercising the option, you're making the $17.5 million payment to pick up a voiding dummy 2028 contract year, a fake year, not a real year. Contract expires after the 2027 season, worth $99,999,999. In years 2024 through 2026, this is what's been misreported. There is a report that there's a $750,000 off-season roster bonus. It's not a roster bonus in the contract. In 2024 through 2026, Jackson has $750,000 in workout bonuses. The 2024 workout bonus is fully guaranteed at signing. The 2025, 26, 27 roster bonuses are not guaranteed. That's $3 million total there. So, if you have a roster bonus that is fully guaranteed at signing, which means you have skill, injury, and salary cap guarantees all at signing, which you do have with this particular roster bonus, then that's going to be prorated on the cap. So that means the $750 from 2024 gets prorated back 2023 through 2027 at $150,000 on the cap for each of those years. That's why the cap number in 2023 is $22.15 million, because you got that extra $150,000 on the cap. Now, you've got a second roster bonus in 2025. The deadline for that one is the 5th day of the 2025 league year. And for that one, you're going to have a $22.5 million payment to pick up another fake voiding dummy year for 2029 worth the same amount, $99,999,999. And for this one, the listed base salary of $42.75 million is going to drop to $20.25 million. Now, out of this $42.75 million, it's all guaranteed for injury at signing, but only $22.5 million of it was fully guaranteed at signing. The other $20.5 million becomes fully guaranteed on the 5th day of the 2024 league year. So that's how you get the $135 million fully guaranteed at signing, because you've got the signing bonus, the 2023 base salary, the 2024 option bonus, and 2024 base salary, and then you've got $22.5 million in 2025, which is fully guaranteed at signing. So you have $112 of cash through 2024 plus another $22.5. That's $135 million. So through year 3, there's $156 million of cash. And then you go into year 4. You've got $29 million, which is guaranteed for injury at signing, and that becomes fully guaranteed on the 5th day of the 2025 league year. So that's how you get the $185 million overall guarantees. But the base salary in 2026, year 4, is $51.25 million, and that's the same in 2027, $51.25 million. So your cap numbers in the deal. $22.15 million 2023, $32.4 million 2024, $43.65 million in 2025, $74.65 million in 2026, and $74.65 million in 2027. You're going to have a $12.5 million cap charge in 2028 should this contract expire. That is because those dummy voiding years, 2028 and 2029, void on the last day of the 2027 league year, which will be in March 2028. And right now you've got $8 million of proration sitting on the cap for 2028 and $4.5 million sitting on the cap in 2029. And that's because that first roster bonus of $17.5 million for 2024 sits on the cap at $3.5 million for 2024 through 2028, and the second roster bonus of $22.5 million sits at $4.5 million on the cap for 2025 through 2029. So that's why you have that extra $12.5 million sitting, accounting for the cap charges in 2028 and 2029. As is. Now, the way you look at this, the way that this thing is working, that there's no way that they're going to get rid of Lamar Jackson before 2026 at the earliest. If all of a sudden he turns into Carson Wentz or something, it just doesn't make sense from a cap standpoint. Even in 2026, if you don't use a post-June 1 designation, there's going to be $57.8 million of dead money from the bonus proration and the $29 million salary guarantee. There is an offset so that they could recoup money from wherever he signed elsewhere, but he wouldn't be worth a whole lot if you got to cut him, so there'd be a minimal relief from him signing someplace else. If you released him in 2027, the dead money would be $35.3 million. But you got to think that Lamar is going to set himself up well for another deal. Now, with a cap number of $74.65 million in 2026 and 2027, if this thing works anything like it of Joe Flacco, who was the last time the Ravens used a double option bonus, and if they're real tight up against the cap, they may have to come to Lamar in 2026 to get cap relief and do a deal after 3 years. That's what the Ravens had to do with Joe Flacco in 2016. He became the highest paid player in the NFL in 2013 after he played out of his mind during that Super Bowl run. Got a 6-year deal, averaging $20.1 million per year. And yes, a decade ago, $20.1 million made you the highest paid player in the league. Now we're over 52 million and climbing. So in 2016, that'd do it again. Highest paid player was Aaron Rodgers at $22 million, because the quarterback market had stayed stagnant, which it isn't doing now, and he got a 3-year extension averaging $22,133,333 per year. Even if he didn't get the no franchise tag clause, which is rare because the only quarterback who has one besides Jackson is Dak Prescott. It's not a clause which is easily given out. That if you wanted to franchise him after 2027, that number was going to be 120% of his cap number. Almost his cap number. It's a slight modification. It's going to be $89.43 million, because you have to take out his workout bonus of $150 from the 120% calculation. So it's 120% of $73.95 million, which gets you to $88.65 million. And then you're going to actually, $750. The $750 roster bonus, not $150, $750. You can add that back in, and you're going to get $89.43 million. So maybe that's why they gave him the clause. Nonetheless, he got it, but they're thinking, well, you can't really franchise him anyway, so no harm, no foul. But nonetheless, Lamar was smart enough to get that clause, because it's going to probably force them to do a deal before he plays that last year. If Lamar wants out at that time and he's playing at a high level, wants to test the market, you're going to have to do a deal. And then the Ravens will be looking for a new quarterback, and they're going to have $12.5 million of dead money in 2028 when he heads into free agency. So that's kind of a win-win for him. The no-trade clause, that isn't so unusual. it's kind of become a norm with high-end quarterback deals. Aaron Rodgers famously didn't have one, but you weren't going to trade for almost 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers who didn't want to go there, who'd been talking about retirement. So he had an effective no-trade clause, even if he didn't formally have one on paper. But most of the top quarterback deals have one. He's got the second most guarantees in NFL history in a contract. It's first among traditional deals. Obviously, the most guarantees, full guarantees, and overall guarantees belongs to Deshaun Watson because he got a $200 million 5-year fully guaranteed contract from the Browns when he was traded last March from the Texans. Now, to me, some people have been mischaracterizing Kyler Murray's guarantees and call it $189.5 million. If you're going to compare apples to apples, you got to look at how much is guaranteed for injury at signing. Because when you're talking about total guarantees, you're talking about the amount that's guaranteed for injury at signing. When we talk about Patrick Mahomes' guarantees, we don't talk about all the money which ends up vesting, the roster bonuses where it's not guaranteed and it ends up vesting a year or two early. We look at Patrick Mahomes' amount of injury guarantees as $141,481,905. So we got to have a little consistency in how we're talking about the guarantees. Because if you start talking guarantees and the way people present Murray's $189.5 million, I haven't done the math, but given that the bulk of Mahomes' money is in these roster bonuses, that he's going to have the most money of overall guarantees if you start talking about unguaranteed money or non-guaranteed money, which can become guaranteed. As I've digressed into Kyler Murray longer than I thought I would, he's got $160 million of injury guarantees at signing. He's got $10 million in 2026, which is not guaranteed, that becomes guaranteed in 2025. And he's got $19.5 million in 2027 that's not guaranteed as well, that becomes guaranteed in 2026. That's how you get the $189.5 million, but that is different than what we're talking about in terms of injury guarantees. Russell Wilson has an amount which can push his, I think, to 200, the overall guarantees. I mean, the amount of guarantees if you're looking at it in the Kyler Murray prism, but we don't talk about Russell Wilson like that. He used to be second in guarantees with 165 from the way I'm calculating it. He's now third in overall guarantees. That's the injury guarantee. And he used to be second, the full guarantee, at $124 million. He is now third. Lamar Jackson made a lot of money by being patient instead of doing a deal in 2021. If Lamar had an agent, there's a good chance he would have signed a deal in 2021. The deal that may have been the impetus for him signing was Josh Allen, fellow 2018 first-round pick. Josh Allen, shortly after training camp started, signed a deal, 6-year extension, $258 million, averaging $43 million per year. Made him the second highest paid player in the league behind Patrick Mahomes at $45 million. So let's say Jackson gets a deal done then. Maybe he goes slightly above that. It's $43.5 million per year. Maybe he gets stuck with the 6 years. That's 6 new years. Josh Allen had 2 years left on his rookie contract. 6-year extension means it's 8 total years. So maybe Lamar Jackson is under contract through 2028 for less money. Or let's say he's able to get a 5-year extension where he comes up the same time he does now. If Allen had to give 43 on a 6, maybe it's 41, 5 new years. Or let's say he's somehow able to finagle a 4-year extension, 4 new years. Then you had Dak Prescott, who signed at $40 million per year for 4 years. Maybe it's right around then. But either way, by waiting, Lamar Jackson is taking advantage of the changing market conditions. Because what we've seen is that 4 players went past Mahomes' $45 million per year in 2022. There's Aaron Rodgers, who became the first $50 million per year player. And Aaron Rodgers signed a 3-year deal for $150.815 million, averaging $50,271,667 per year. We had Deshaun Watson's fully guaranteed contract, averaging $46 million per year. Then you had Kyler Murray come in on a 5-year extension that he got with 2 years left on his rookie contract for $46.1 million per year. And then you had Russell Wilson after the trade, Denver, right before the start of the regular season, signs for $49 million per year. So just by waiting, he's made a lot of money. And then this year, Jalen Hurts had just signed a 5-year extension, averaging $51 million per year. The ink's barely dry before Lamar passes him. That was at $255 million on a 5-year extension with $180 million in overall guarantees. So by waiting, Lamar's probably made a good $8.5 million per year. So you've had people who were like, "Oh, he's never going to make up the money he didn't do from doing a deal 2 years ago." No, he's more than made that up. Because if he signed a deal in 2021, it's not going to be any more than $43.5 million per year. Now he's at 52. Yeah, the cash is different, but he's going to be under contract same amount of years or more than he is now. And to illustrate that point, I want to look at what Lamar is versus Josh Allen. You got to remember, Josh Allen was drafted ahead of Lamar. If you look at the difference in the rookie deals, when Josh Allen signed, what they made through their first 3 years, Josh Allen had made $17,904,439. Lamar in his first 3 years made $7,700,062. Lamar was the last pick in the first round. That's a difference of $10,204,377. So Lamar already behind in cash by virtue of draft position. If you want to say Lamar doesn't go 32nd, if he has an agent to manage him through the pre-draft process, he goes higher. That's a fair point. Now, if you look at where Lamar in 2021, he made $1,771,590. And then last year played on a $23.016 million 5th-year option. So he made, through 2021 and 2022, he made $24,787,590. Whereas Josh Allen, in terms of his cash flow, Josh made $20 million in 2021 and a combined $67 million in 2020 through 2022. So if you look at where the cash flow difference is in their overall careers, through 2022, Lamar is down $52,416,787. That's accounting for the $10.2 million difference in draft position. Lamar almost catches up after 2023 because Josh Allen, in terms of his cash flow through his first new year, would be 2023. He's got $95 million. Whereas Lamar this year, he's making 80. So Josh goes from 67 to 95. That's 28. Lamar's making up $52 million over cash through this year. So career earnings through 2023, Lamar's going to be down $416,787. So he's already basically caught up. If Lamar had done a deal in the same neighborhood as Josh Allen back then, he's still probably going to be the 10 million behind. Because let's say it's 43, say he did the same deal and it's got the same cash flow, then he's always going to be 10.2 million behind. But since he's now in a deal averaging 52, as opposed to 43 or 43 and a half or 43.25, he's able to make that up quickly. Now, if you go to where they are in 2024, just from the new deal, the cash flow for through 2024, that's the second new year for Josh. He's at 125 million of cash over those 4 years since he signed his deal. Now, if you look at Lamar's cash over that same 4-year period, 2021 through 2024, his cash is $137,237,590. So if you look at their career cash difference, it's going to be Lamar's now ahead through 2024, $2,038,213. Now, if you look at where their career cash is through 2025, 26, and 27, Lamar is $6,083,213 ahead. Through 2026, he's $19,583,213 ahead. And through 2027, he's $31,583,213 ahead. Now, this is going to assume that if they both played out their rookie contract. If Lamar plays out his contract and Josh doesn't get an extension with 2 years left on his deal, and Josh has to play through 2027 and gets a new deal heading into 2028. So they'd both be getting a new deal heading into 2028, and then it all depend on who went first, how they were playing at that particular time. By waiting, Lamar has more than made up the difference, because I think something that's getting lost in this translation is you're thinking, well, Lamar, if he had signed back in 2021, would only be under contract 5 total years. No, that'd only be a 3-year extension. He had 2 years left on his contract. He was going to give up at a minimum 4 new years, which would make him come up after 2026, possibly 6 new years, because that's what Josh Allen did. He'd be under contract through 2028, or it could have been the actual 5 new years, which would put him under contract through 2027. By playing out his rookie contract, he is under contract through 2027. Now, I haven't done the math, but I suspect that making $52 million per year in new money as opposed to 43 or 43.5 million in new money is much greater than what he could have earned in interest had he gotten a deal done where he's got similar cash flow as Josh Allen has in his actual extension. So I'm going to say that Lamar actually made money by letting the market change. He's more than made up the difference, at least to me. You may disagree, but that's how I'm looking at it. And I want to use it from Josh Allen to kind of put it into context. Now, getting away from that, something I found interesting was that Lamar Jackson said in his press conference, one, that the trade request was just a negotiating ploy. Yep, that's what I kind of suspected. And he said that other teams had reached out and that he was focused on getting something done with the Ravens. Yeah, well, they're not mutually exclusive concepts to me, and I say that from personal experience. That 25 years ago, we had a transition player, John Randall, some of you may have heard of. He's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, defensive tackle that was the prototype for the undersized defensive lineman before Aaron Donald. The guy had, I think, 137.5 sacks in his career, 8 straight double-digit sack seasons. But back then, you could do poison pills with offer sheets. And Miami was the biggest competitor. We've been talking to Miami about an offer sheet, but simultaneously negotiating with the Vikings to stay because John was torn about what he wanted to do. But there's no way Minnesota was going to be able to match the offer sheet, just because it was going to be very front-loaded from a cash standpoint, and they weren't able to pay a signing bonus and a lump sum, which you're going to have to match the terms. So we had a offer that we hadn't signed the offer sheet from the Dolphins. John's visiting the Dolphins. We're still negotiating with the Vikings, but they had to pay John more per year to get him to stay. Also had to do something which was unusual at the time. Basically, the only guaranteed money was signing bonus. We had base salary guarantees in his contract with no offset. So there's no small guarantee in year 4 and year 5 with no offset. So when John was ultimately cut by the Vikings and went to Seattle to finish his career, he was getting a couple $1 million in each of those first 2 years of Seattle from the Vikings. But we were able to leverage the offer sheet into a better deal with Minnesota than if we didn't have any interest from someone. So I think maybe Lamar possibly made a tactical error by not seeing if there was any real interest from someone. And I know logical conclusion probably was going to be that nobody was going to put an offer sheet on him because the Ravens were going to match. They already had the $32.416 million sitting on the cap. But the threat of the offer sheet and the visit may have been able to spur some other changes to the deal which would have been favorable to Lamar. Now, that being said, one of the things I look at, and I'm a stickler for this, is where your percentage of cash is after each year. Lamar, after his first new year, which is 2023, is at 30.76. So I looked at what the other quarterbacks are that signed 5-year deals over the past year. Jalen Hurts, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray. First new year, Kyler Murray, 31.52. Russell Wilson, 29.78. Jalen Hurts, 23.53. After the second new year, 2024 for Lamar, 43.27% of the money. Jalen Hurts, 40. Russell Wilson, 44.9. Kyler Murray, 45.67. After year 3, Lamar, which is 2025, 60%. Hurts, 60%. Wilson, 61.22. Murray, 64.12. After the fourth new year, 80% for Lamar, 80% for Hurts. Russell Wilson, 79.59, and Kyler Murray, 79.89. Now, I would have liked to have seen, or if I represented Lamar, I would have been looking at those early cash flow percentages from Kyler Murray after his first new year, second new year, and third new year, and wanted to try to top those or get as close to those as possible. But one that I definitely would have needed to top would have been what was done with Lamar's teammate, Roquan Smith. Roquan Smith goes 27.5%, 45%, 60, 80, and 100. I'm the quarterback. Roquan's the linebacker. I know he's the highest paid off-ball linebacker in history, but I don't want the same cash percentages after the third, fourth year as Roquan. No offense to Roquan Smith, but you're the linebacker. I'm the most important guy on the team. So I got to be above 60%, and I got to be above 80% after year 3 and year 4. And Roquan's at 45 after the second year. Lamar's at 43.27. We need to shift some of that money upwards. Lamar, great job in terms of taking advantage of the market by waiting and not doing a deal too early, whereas an agent may have. So he's made a ton of money this way, but maybe I'm nitpicking for some of you, but there's some things I look at. One, another thing, those workout bonuses. That's something the Ravens don't do. The only Ravens veteran player for workout bonus is Michael Pierce. He's got $250,000 on his 1-year deal. I may have tried to get those out because I wouldn't want to set the precedent for having these workout bonuses and deals, because I would be surprised if the Ravens don't start all of a sudden becoming a team which has workout bonuses. As long as Lamar's going to show up, it's free money, because he's not free money, but he's going to get it sooner rather than later. He'll get it sooner than it would be base salary, so it's good from that standpoint. But typically, I was not one who wanted to set a precedent for something that a team hadn't done contractually. But as I said, as long as he shows up for the workout, and he's got to participate in 80% of the workouts, then he's going to get that money. Oh, August 15th. He gets it August 15th. So, yeah, you get $750 by August 15th as opposed to having a $750 in base salary, and then he gets paid over a 36-week period, which runs through May. So it's better from that standpoint. But if he doesn't show up, he's out $750. So this should be enough incentive to get Lamar to show up. Now, one thing that's in the contracts of the next highest paid players on the Ravens he doesn't have, by that I mean Roquan, Ronnie Stanley, Marlon Humphrey, Mark Andrews, they all have $4 million fifth day of the league year roster bonuses in their last 2 years, which is going to force the Ravens to make a quick decision on these guys. They can't be held hostage and released at an inopportune time. Now, Lamar doesn't need a roster bonus in 2026. He's got the $29 million of salary, which is guaranteed for injury at signing, of his base salary, of his $51.25 million base salary that becomes fully guaranteed fifth day of the 2025 league year. So something else Lamar did really good. He got early vesting guarantees. The 2026 guarantee vests in 2025. 2025, the injury guarantee converts to full guarantee in 2024. Now, I may have wanted some sort of roster bonus, substantial roster bonus in 2027, because if I'm trying to get a new deal, I want to put a clock on it. I don't want this thing hanging out till the beginning of training camp, because let's say it's $10 million. Say you got $10 million of your $51.25 million as a fifth day of the league year roster bonus, so you got $41.25 million as a base salary. There's no way they're going to pay the 10. Well, I guess they could still pay it, but they're less likely to pay the $10 million and then not do a deal. So that would be to try to force the deal to get done by the beginning of the league year. Now, that being said, that no franchise clause I love, because that's going to give him maximum leverage. Because if the Ravens want to keep him and he wants to stay, he's not playing on that 2027 contract year. They will get something done. He's going to hold all the cards as long as he plays reasonably well. So, in a sense, that clause kind of gives him a 4-year deal at $208 million. That's the cash after 4 years. We're going to see just how valuable that is through Dak Prescott. He's got that clause. He's got like $62 million in dead money if he doesn't play well. And his cap number's close to 60. Dallas can't carry that. So if Dak plays well, man, he's got the hammer, and he's going to use it. Now, one other thing I would have liked, and this is kind of splitting hairs, but nonetheless, if other guys have them, I want them too. Jalen Hurts has $15 million in salary escalators to bring the max value of his deal to $270 million. Lamar does not have any performance bonuses, either escalators or incentives. Josh Allen's got $30 million of incentives in his. He's got $5 million in each of the new years, where he's got $1 million for an AFC Championship win, where it's he plays 60% in the game or starts the game and had 6 regular season play time. Gets $2.5 million, same criteria for a Super Bowl win, and $1.5 million for NFL MVP. So he's got that $5 million. And just want to have the upside. Lamar's already won MVP, but there's no upside. I'd want to have upside to exceed Hurts's $270 million max value. The $260 is the max value for Lamar's. It's just a straight, clean deal. Just like Hurts, Lamar is only going to be the highest paid player for so long, because one thing I've always realized is that high-end contracts are made to be surpassed. And that means Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert are going to get contract extensions for more than $52 million per year by the Bengals and Chargers. The question is, can they do something other than a 5-year deal? I don't know if that's possible now, because the last big deals have been 5 new years. Lamar, 5 new years. Hurts, 5 new years. Kyler Murray, 5 new years. Russell Wilson, 5 new years. These guys may be pigeonholed into a 5-year deal. Now, the market's not moving much. It's been incremental increases. Hurts got a 1.45 million% increase over Aaron Rodgers. Lamar Jackson 1.96%. Now, Rodgers had a huge increase over Patrick Mahomes. His was 11.17%. So, based on the last two, Hurts and Lamar Jackson, Burrow and Herbert going to be like 53 million to be the next guy, maybe 53 and a half max. Then let's say Herbert gets done first. He's at 53. Burrow comes in at 54, 54 and a half, probably no more than 55. I don't think you may not have a $55 million per year guy this year based on these last two increases. But nonetheless, I expect both of these guys to top Lamar Jackson. But overall, Lamar, no one should criticize Lamar Jackson for the job he did as an agent. One, became the highest paid guy with the best cash flow of any deal. Got that no franchise tag clause. Got the most guarantees. Got the biggest signing bonus. By most guarantees, I mean a traditional deal. I'm putting Deshaun Watson aside. And made a ton of money by waiting. He'd have been at $43.5 million per year max had he done a deal 2 years ago, and that's more than made up the difference by waiting than the cash he was going to get because he's still going to be under contract the same amount of years. So that's my look at Lamar Jackson. Don't forget you can find me on Twitter at Corey Joel. That's CORRYJOEL. And thank you for listening, and we'll see you back here next time. Goodbye.